A rally for solidarity today in Philadelphia as people came together to denounce hate and violence against the Asian American community. And the rally continued on to City Hall. Our Shawnette Wilson has more.
The message from Asian Americans is to end the hate and violence against them. And this evening, allies of other ethnicities and races came out to show them that they're not alone. Dozens took to the streets this evening in a march to City Hall, part of a day of solidarity in the wake of recent violent, even deadly attacks on the Asian American community. Hate, they say, must end so they can feel protected and safe.
This, unfortunately, will not be the last time we have to stand up for one another.
They sat in silence on Dilworth Plaza in memory of the 8 people killed in Atlanta last week, 6 of them women of Asian descent. The moment was solemn, but Annie DiGregorio left feeling encouraged.
Proud, impacted. Honestly, seeing the physical amount of people that came out.
Charlene Cabello is one of many people who helped organize the event.
Today was a great moment of just feeling uplifted.
Before the march to City Hall, there was a solidarity rally at 10th and Vine in Chinatown.
I am a proud Filipino-American woman.
Speakers took to the mic to demand an end to anti-Asian American hate and hate against other marginalized communities.
And to my black, brown brothers and sisters, I refuse to just watch as all our communities continue to suffer at the hands of racism.
Jenny Lynn says she owns several businesses in Chinatown and came out to make her voice heard.
We need to stop it. Yeah. I think it's very important because we live here. We live in the United States. We are U.S. citizens.
And organizers of the event in Philadelphia say that similar marches and rallies were held in cities all over the country on this very same day. Shawnette Wilson, Fox 29 News.
Okay, so brothers like this brother and many other Wakandans that showed up to this rally in Philadelphia yesterday, there's a lot to unpack here. Like, first, was this what you were thinking about when you voted for Biden and Kamala? That as soon as they got into office, they were going to, a movement was going to start where another group was going to basically replace you as at the forefront of the social justice wave that's swept over the country since the death of St. Floyd. Like that, I don't think this is what Wakandans was voting for. This is not what Wakandan Americans was voting for, man. I know. They were thinking that, okay, we're going to get Biden in office and it's going to be a continuation. We're going to take a little break of the protest, let him get in here. We're going to stop protesting. Biden going to get in and it's going to be so happy for black people. And we're going to still be at the top of the social justice hierarchy, the top of the victim narrative hierarchy. And it's just going to be great. I don't think that they thought that they would be attending rallies that were designed to protest, which I think is wrong, anybody being attacked, but a minority group feeling like they're being attacked or they're being wronged. I just don't think that this is what black folks signed up for. Get in the comment section and tell me if you think this is what black people were all galvanized to vote for, to send in their early ballots for. Because we all know who, even though the mainstream media plays this game as if it's a bunch of white supremacists attacking these Asian people, everyone knows. Everybody knows who's doing it. Who's doing 97 or 98% of the attacks against Asian people. It's the same people who are doing 97 and 98% of the attacks against everybody. Like I said before, this is not a hate issue, Asian hate issue. This is a defund the police issue. The attacks against Asians have skyrocketed because the police have been defunded all over America, and they've been marginalized in the court system, and has been made very lenient for criminals. So you have criminals out here in every city attacking people more. And I'll show you who's really being attacked in Philadelphia. Let's just look at the news from today. Over a dozen shots fired during a triple shooting in Kensington. Who you think fired those shots? And who you think was on the receiving end of those shots? Police ID woman arrested in shooting and carjacking in Philly that led to chase in New Jersey. Who do you think this woman carjacked? And who do you think this woman is? And they worried about legalizing weed. And you know why they want to legalize weed? Because they say the majority of black people are in prison because of marijuana charges. Obviously, whoever said that never been to prison or jail or in the streets or anything. They think that. But they feel like that's the far left radical view of it. But even if you get to the center of the Democratic Party, they feel that if you legalize marijuana, there'll be less black people in jail. 4 suspects wanted in South Philadelphia ambush shooting.
Newly released video shows a group of suspects wanted in connection with an ambush and a shooting in South Philadelphia. Investigators say it happened on March 4th near the 2000 block of Snyder Avenue. Police say the suspects got out with rifles and handguns and opened fire on the victim. Investigators recovered 76 pieces of ballistic evidence from the scene. If you know anything about the incident, you're asked to call police.
Now, who do you think those 4 suspects were? And who do you think they were shooting at? Well, here's the Philadelphia Gun Memorial. And this has many of the stories, not all of them, but the vast majority of the people who they can verify have been killed in Philadelphia by gunfire. And they have over 100 murders this year. And they're on pace to break their record-breaking murder count from last year. Like their murder rate last year was historic. Like, I mean, it was epic. I mean, who's being attacked? All I see is black people, a few Hispanics, a smattering of whites. One group is conspicuously missing from this. One group is conspicuously missing from this gun memorial. These are the people being killed in Philadelphia by guns in broad daylight, as you see most of the time. Very few of these happen in the house or with domestic. 95% of these happen on the streets. And it doesn't mean the people were street people. It just means they were just out in public when they were shot. Either by stray bullets, somebody came and sprayed the crowd, somebody sprayed a group they were in, somebody shot into a house, some dudes did a drive-by, stray bullets went through their... I mean, there's one group that's conspicuously missing from this. And that's the group that you have black people downtown protesting about. Where are the black people in Philadelphia marching and protesting for this. Every day. This is worth looting businesses over. If you're going to tear up some businesses and burn down some stuff, wouldn't you do it for this? Okay, so we know there's a lot of business owners that were at this rally too, because it was in Chinatown, of course. But if you leave Chinatown in Philadelphia, as well as many democratically run cities, one thing you know is that the majority of the shops, as far as beauty salons, carry-out restaurants, corner stores, or bodegas, or whatever you want to call them, are owned by Asian Americans. Okay? They're very entrepreneurial. They're very business savvy. Salute to them for that. I think that's a great characteristic. They will open up businesses and they will create commerce, and they will be the vendors and the receivers of the money that is coming out of these communities. Can't hate them for that. You cannot hate them for that. You have to respect that, because when you respect that, you can see the value in that, and then you can start to do that in your own communities. Okay? So you have to respect that, and you have to love that. I implore black folk not to hate them for that, because it's just a lot of hate when other groups open up businesses. And there's nothing stopping us, black folk. I don't care. I want to hear about no loans, business loans. Ain't nothing stopping us. If you can donate $90 million to Black Lives Matter, so some paid protesters can be flown across the country every time some brother gets shot by a cop, to show up and stay in 5-star hotels and then protest in front of a bunch of cameras for a few hours. If you can pay a group $90 million for that, you can donate a GoFundMe or something. That $10 billion that y'all gave the George Floyd family, y'all could have donated that to some people in Philadelphia to start some businesses. So I don't want to hear about any jealousy or any resentment towards the Asian community for being entrepreneurial and pooling them resources and starting businesses in your community and siphoning the dollars out of your community and sending their kids to private school and buying nice houses in the suburbs for their families with the money they siphon out of your community, because you could be getting that money because you have the resources. We saw that. We've seen that recently with all the donations to families of people who get killed by police and all the groups that protest for them. We've seen that when you want to, you can make $90 million appear out of nowhere. And it's not just you, it's you, your white liberal allies too. Where they at? Buying you stores in your community, helping you buy stores in your community. But anyway, the Philadelphia City Council approved a bill to remove bulletproof glass from storefronts because it was racist. Bulletproof glass in storefronts was deemed as racist against black people. And it was deemed as being racist against black people by Asian people because they're the ones who own the stores. So the Philadelphia City Council created a law where they forced all these shop owners in these very dangerous city, this extremely dangerous city where there's robberies and crime all the time, to remove their bulletproof glass, which was protecting them and their employees from the haphazard, wanton, just senseless crime that happens all the time in a city like Philadelphia.
I couldn't believe
believe this. A controversial bill in Philly would force business owners to take down bulletproof glass. The Philadelphia councilwoman pushing this move is apparently concerned that the security measures hurt shoppers' feelings, saying, quote, "We want to make sure there isn't this sort of indignity, in my opinion, to serving food through plexiglass only in certain neighborhoods."
Fox News contributor Deneen Borelli joins us now with her reaction. How do you even know if a business has bulletproof glass? You can't tell the difference.
Yeah, well, this is just ridiculous. This councilwoman's priorities are totally twisted. This is about the safety and security of the employees in these high-crime areas. And who is she to come in to dictate to these small business owners, these mom-and-pop stores, who can perhaps only afford these plexiglass or bulletproof glass to protect their employees? Who is she to come in from the government and say, you shall do this because we say so? It's outrageous.
And by the way, the owner of this Broad Deli, who they want to take the glass down from, says the bulletproof glass in the store was installed after a shooting, and it saved his mother-in-law from a knife attack a little bit later on. So, I mean, is there a chance that these people just want to survive and thrive? Rich writes this. He's the owner of a deli there. He says if the glass comes down, the crime rate will rise, and there will be a lot of dead bodies.
Yeah, and he makes a great point. I mean, the criminal knows that there's no plexiglass there to protect the employees. It makes it easier for them. You and I ride in taxis in New York all the time. They have plexiglasses in some of these cabs to keep the driver safe. There's only a little slot for them to put the receipt through for you to put your credit card through. But listen,
does that make you feel bad?
But going back to the PC culture, that's what we're witnessing here. It's ridiculous. And, you know, her response to the owners is for them to provide security cameras and security personnel. Well, the plexiglass is there because maybe that's all they could afford. And again, who is she coming from the government to dictate what these small business owners should do?
Deneen Borelli, thanks so much.
Okay, so Cindy Bass, this is the woman whose grand idea it was to remove plexiglass from Philly businesses, small businesses, corner stores and liquor stores in the hood and whatnot. And she said clearly, it says right here, Bass has made clear that the bulletproof barrier is not really the point. She is targeting these small businesses, mostly run by Asian immigrants, because she sees them as parasites feeding on the black community. Nuisance establishments like Stop and Goes harm neighborhoods throughout Philly in several ways, Cindy Bass, councilwoman, said. First, they contribute to increased crime. I shit you not. She said they contribute to increased crime. On any given day, you can find people in front of these businesses selling loosies or loose cigarettes. Oh, so now you have a problem with somebody selling loosies and loose cigarettes. When Eric Garner was arrested for the 26th time for selling loosies and loitering, and also, you know, all the other crimes that come with when you're selling a product outside of in front of a business, because they sell the product, but you're out in front of the store. You're basically cutting their throat. It's like if you open a bakery and I stand right outside of your bakery, got biscuits over here, treats, tasty treats, sweet treats, donuts, muffins here, and I'm out in front of your business selling muffins. That's why shop owners call police on these people. Because they sell the same product that the guy who's standing right in front of their businesses is offering to their patrons before they can come into the door. So that's why Eric Garner was being arrested for the 26th time in front of that same store. That was his 26th time being arrested for that offense in front of that same exact store. That's why he was like, I'm not going today. Mommy was like, I ain't going today. He was tired. Just think about that. That brother had been arrested, handcuffed, driven to the station, fingerprinted, processed, put in the holding tank or the drunk tank or central booking or whatever, waited, went to court the next day, got either a citation or no paper or case thrown out or charged or whatever and released 25 times for the same offense in front of the same business. So this woman, Cindy Bass, is saying because these stores attract people that sell loosies or loose cigarettes and engage in other nuisance behaviors like loitering, public drunkenness, possible drug sales, and even public urination, that it's the shop owner's fault for increasing crime. That's what that woman said. So the article goes on to say, criminal behavior on the streets outside these delis could best be addressed through stricter law enforcement. This was in 2017, obviously, before the whole anti-police wave. But in a city where homicides in 2017 were up 14% over the previous year, it is not surprising that antisocial street crime is also rampant. Blaming Chinese and Korean shopkeepers who account for 70% of the city's beer deli owners. Just to let you understand, Asians in Korea, all Asians make up about 3% of the Philadelphia population. 3 to 5% of the population in Philly. And they make up 70% of the city's beer deli owners. So that may be a reason why they're being targeted, because they own the stores. So basically if you own all the stores, in robberies and, like robbing stores are considered anti-Asian attacks. Robbing people who do the money drops in stores when they're leaving with the money, or they're coming to drop off the money at the store, that's considered an Asian attack. If everything's considered an Asian attack, anything that's done to an Asian, and they own 70% of basically the shops, because they own about 100% of the beauty supply stores and the nail salons. That may be a reason why they're being attacked, why it seems like disproportionately they're being attacked.
Not invisible and not staying silent.
I didn't realize maybe other Asians feel this way, the way I feel here in America. You're called names, you're verbally accosted, some people even feeling physically threatened. It's definitely happening all around.
I've experienced racism before, especially growing up, from my peers.
Today at Sutcliffe Park in Conshohocken, community members from all walks of life showed up and showed their support for the Asian American and Pacific Islander community.
Seeing everyone come together today, it just shows the sense of community that we're continuing to build.
When we have an event like this, we can hear from members of the community, leaders in the community, students, elected officials. It helps us all have the conversation in our homes. So I'm hoping that's where this leads us.
Royersford Mayor Jenna Antonowicz says racism against Asians in America is unfortunately a tale as old as time.
A lot of the headlines that we're seeing make it seem like maybe this is a new revelation, and what you heard a lot of the speakers here today say is this is not new. This is a lived experience that we've been having our entire lives for many decades.
There was a moment of silence for all victims in the Atlanta attack.
Let us fall silent. To honor the silence, the death knell tolls.
Silence out of respect, and now anything but silence moving forward.
Should not take something tragic to bring people together. So if we can use the opportunity, I know that's a terrible word, to make sure that we're staying unified, make sure that we're staying on top of education and awareness. This is our moment to raise our voices, make noise, say we are here, we are being traumatized. We need your assistance.
A need to choose unity over division. In Montgomery County, Stephen Fisher, NBC 10 News.
So now, what do politicians like Cindy Bass do? Because as ridiculous as what she was saying back in 2017, as ridiculous as it was not considered racism. It was not considered hate against Asians. Fast forward 4 years. You done got rid of Trump and him emboldening white supremacy. You done brought in the party of compassion. The party that's going to do for black people. Now, politicians like Cindy are going to have to cater to Asian communities because they're the focal point of the social justice wave now. Politicians, black politicians, which most of the politicians in cities like Philadelphia, DC, Baltimore, most of these politicians not only Democrat, but they're black people. And they have to ride the wave to keep power. Politicians are all about power. So politicians like her are going to shift their focus from the black community to doing things for the Asian community. And it's already happening. And I just don't think that this is what black people signed up for when they voted in record number, made Joe Biden the most popular as far as he got the most votes of any president ever, the most black votes of any president ever. Black people movement, Black Lives Matter, was co-opted as a tool to get Joe Biden elected and get Democrats in power. Now you have Democrats in power, and now, and soon politicians like her are gonna have to come down on the black community because people are gonna start realizing that it's not lone wolf white dudes that are attacking these people. And especially in her jurisdiction. I just don't think this is what they signed up for.
Jim and Tracy, we are starting to hear stories about how people are coping with the fallout from this mass shooting in Georgia. Today we met Nancy Wynn, who said one of the first people to reach out to her and text her and comfort her were her African-American friends. And it's those small gestures that go a long way. Hundreds of miles from the mass shootings in Atlanta, the images cut deep for people in Philadelphia's Asian communities.
All of what we want ultimately is justice. Justice for our communities and justice for the families that were impacted.
For Nancy Wynn, justice isn't just charging the shooting suspect with a hate crime.
If our solution is we have to make things a hate crime, people have to go to jail, and that's the only solution, anti-Asian violence doesn't end when you just jail people.
She wants elected officials to invest in Asian communities.
I want to see more low-income housing. We want to see more supports for small businesses that are being closed and, driven out by gentrification.
Those are some reasons why Nancy went to Tuesday's anti-Asian hate town hall in Chinatown. She wanted to share those ideas with U.S. Congressman Dwight Evans. You got a lot of feedback. Yes. How do you take everything that you got and take it down to Washington?
Well, you listen carefully to what people have to say, and then you try to take it and break it up to pieces about what's the best strategies.
Meanwhile, in Chinatown, there are more signs of life. People are returning and supporting businesses, a sign of hope after a week of crisis.
At the same time, I can see that people are making heroic efforts to make sure that they're taking care of each other.
When we left to Town Hall today. We met a couple guys from this group, Philly Rally for Solidarity. They're a grassroots group that is holding a rally at 4 o'clock on Thursday at 10th and Vine at the plaza there. They said they felt motivated to want to do more, and so they're going to do that this week. Reporting live here in Chinatown, I'm Brandon Hudson, NBC 10 News.